What's up, y'all? John Melton coming to you live with mylifestyleacademy.com, where we help those network marketers, those online entrepreneurs, those of you that want to build wealth, you want abundance, you want residual income, multiple streams of income, you want to build a business leveraging the interwebs. We help you go from average to savage, baby. And I am excited to be interviewing an absolute rock star today, Cortney Swann, who has been totally smashing it inside of our network marketing company, but I know she's got multiple income streams. She's got like 220,000 followers just on Facebook alone. Is that right, Courtney?
I've got a little over 400,000 on Facebook.
Woo, 400,000 over on Facebook, just on that one platform. She goes live all the time. She's building this incredible personal brand. And what I love about her is that she's just authentic. She keeps it real. She just has conversations with her audience. And this is, Courtney, I know we've just gotten to know each other recently, but this is what we've been teaching for like 10 years. We teach people how to build a brand, how to leverage the internet, how to leverage social media, how to show up online without feeling like an infomercial, without feeling like a spammer. And it's amazing when I come across people like you, people that have created influence, people that have built that personal brand, and they're just having fun. They're just having fun. They're having authentic conversations with their audience, building that know, like, and trust. And when you're relatable, you're personable, you can promote things and it doesn't even feel like selling. You're just like, hey, this is something I use. This is something that's helped me. Maybe it'll help you. So congratulations on all your success. I think just with our company alone, I think you've probably sold 300,000 or 400,000 just in the last like 3-4 months. So to see your numbers and to see how you're building, it's really impressive. And I know we're live all over social media right now. We're live on YouTube. So anyway, my audience is really excited to hear from you. And I know some people even sent me a message. They're like, I'm so excited to hear from Courtney because she's like a mystery. I don't know how she does it. But I'm excited to hear your story first, and then we can get into some of the good stuff. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. Whenever you reached out, I was like, yeah, that would be so great. I come from like a background of not doing social media. I was just a mom with kids and poor, really, really poor, and could like I got into network marketing with another company about 10 years ago, and I sold a stroller and some shoes to get started. Like I did not have like if my thoughts are if I could like pay my light bill or pay a car payment, it would like change my life. And it really would. And so I had 50 followers when I got started, and between all platforms now we have closer to like 700,000 followers. So I would say if you're like, hey, could you do this if you don't have any following, you absolutely could. And so I think for me, completely introverted, and if I wasn't in that point of like desperation, maybe I would not have like taken this route, but it has unlocked like a total complete opportunity that like you could only dream of. Like influencers were not a thing when I got started. I would have like 13 people hop on. I'd be like, well, there's my best friend and my sister and my mom. And for a while, that's how my business was. And then I think the more that you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable, I went in about 5 years into my business. I did start going viral. I'd been consistent for a long time, but I got some brand opportunities that allowed me to really expand my following. And so I went from like negative checking account to millionaire in a very short amount of time, like less than 2 years. And so I for anyone out there who just feels like, man, I'm like learning the things, like eventually if you keep doing the right things and you learn like attraction marketing and how to connect to your audience and being vulnerable with others and like letting only like I try to sell products that I absolutely love, and there's enough things that I absolutely love that I don't push the stuff that I don't really love. And but just being like authentic with the ups and downs of my life. And then also like, goodness gracious, I have 4 kids and like dogs and cats and all the things, a special needs child, and like if I could do this, anyone could. And so I think that also showing people like, hey, this is how I fit this into like the little nooks and crannies of my day, or this is how we make it work. We just built a brand, and it's been a really exciting journey.
I love it. And then is Facebook your number one?
Facebook is where I get the most, sales and interaction, and then Instagram would be number 2.
Love
So, And then I haven't figured out my way on TikTok yet. But for where I am to try and keep up with what I have going
Yeah.
on,
Clearly you're doing good without it. Yeah.
I haven't figured out the balance. But I do think if someone's new, TikTok was great. Like if you didn't have, we get thousands of messages a week, thousands of, like I'm just like, we've got a team, but we're trying to keep up. And so I haven't quite figured out how to find my place over on TikTok. But that's my goal for this year, is to try and
And how did you figure out? Because obviously, things were probably a lot different 10 years ago, but still similar conversation. Like you have to figure out like, who am I talking to? What do I want to talk about? How did you figure that out? What helped you make that decision? Because I know a lot of people, that's their number one pain point, right? When it comes to creating content, they're like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know who I'm talking to. How did you get that clarity?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing is just like get to know who follows you. Like these are your people. Like this is who you're making content for. Like I know for myself, like my audience is 99.6 women. Like I have, like you're probably one of my 0.4%. Like it's like my husband's uncle, like maybe a couple of people I went to high school with. Like I do not, I'm glad I met my husband because he was my neighbor, or else like I don't attract men. Like I don't know. I have a full woman audience. And so I know for me, like I am not going to put out content that like my content is for women. And then depending on who you're selling to, you have to put your content out there. Like we all know the difference between a good bra that's like helping you and like you're trying to like get your best friend's husband to come over, like the difference. And so when you're selling things, you have to think of who your audience is, because you don't want to offend those types of people. You don't want to like burn those bridges. And so I think there's a fine line of like, hey, we are relatable, we're giving our best tips, but I'm not out here trying to like make anybody's family life uncomfortable. And I think that's important too, because there's such a fine line these days of like with the get ready with me videos, with all these things of like how far they go. And so, but knowing who they are and then showing that you care. There's a huge amount of on growing all these people and growing this following, but like when was the last time you just started getting in your DMs and talking to the people who actually hop on your lives now, thanking them for watching you, like thanking them for their order, like following up with them, did they like their products, like really connecting with them. And then once we got to like a much larger level, I started taking on when it was something that only I could do, or messages that were personal. That's what I take. But if it's something that they just want links, I do have help for that. But like
Yeah.
knowing who your audience is and helping them to really like and let them know that you care about them, I think makes them feel not just like another number, even at a large level, that you can still achieve that of making people feel important. And if you are at a small level, asking for those shares, helping people. So then if you do get 6 new people on your live after the live's over, you can just like thank them, and not that you want anything from them, like just connecting, like, and getting to know them. And eventually, if you actually care about the other people, they will start caring and seeing like what you're into as well.
Yeah, I love that. And then do you have advice for people that, maybe they feel like their content would be boring, or their life is boring, or they're doing the videos, but they're struggling with like standing out, getting attention. What would be your advice for someone like that?
Probably find what you're good at. Like, what are you
Mm,
about? What like actually lights you up and makes you excited? So if you feel like what you're talking about is boring, then like maybe it's vegetables, or maybe it's what lights you up that you're super excited. You're like, can you believe that if you put a strawberry in the ground, you will get a strawberry plant? Like what? Like if you find something, it doesn't matter what it is, like find what you find entertaining, and you'll start attracting people who are like, well, I think that's great too. And it doesn't just feel like so bleh. And then I try and keep most of my pages 70 and 80% of all the things that I love, not what I'm selling, like who,
mhm.
the activities with my kids, like we're going and doing these different things. Like I am a brand, and then I share about 20% of actually what I'm selling. So people know a lot more about me. Like they will buy into you before they ever buy whatever product you're selling. And I think that's why in some ways I've been so successful with so many brands. I've sold around $55 million in products in the last 10 years. And it's because people connect to me. And then when I genuinely tell them, I have found something that is going to change your life, listen, this is worth every penny. They're like, if she says it's going to change my life, and then I make sure to not make claims like that unless it's actually something that I'm like, I have had curls for 5 days with this curling iron. You got to ever. And so, and it,
But see, that's a big point there. You're not just selling something to make money. You're like, hey, I need to experiment with this first. I need to make sure it works
yes.
before I share it, because that's my credibility. And I love that. That's such a good point that sometimes people miss. They're just
Yeah.
promoting things because they make money, and then they can't make money with it because people are like, well, I bought the last two things you suggested and it didn't work out. So that's a good point. Yeah.
Yep. Or like, what's in it for them? You know, is it just because you're making a higher commission,
Yeah.
or there's something that's like actually better for them? And
Mm.
so that maybe you would make less money if they didn't buy all of it. But I think my customers, when I say, no, like if you're already buying this, you don't need to buy this and this too. Just use this, see how it goes. And if we need to change it up and add something, we can. But why don't we start here? And there's a lot of trust that's built by like not taking advantage of people. You know, I think if you stick to the golden rule of like being kind to others, not taking advantage of them, genuinely trying to help people succeed, then you'll see like it just comes right back to you.
So true. And how do you suggest someone gets good and comfortable with live videos? Because we've been teaching live videos for 10 years. We do live video challenges, but still you get people that they take the path of least resistance, right? They're like, oh, I'd rather do reels, or I'd rather talk in my stories. And that works, but the live videos have always been the best for us. I think you do a lot. How many live videos do you do per week on average?
Um, I mean, I try to go at least once a day most
Yeah.
weeks.
There you go.
But not on the weekends. Like sometimes I'll just do like a skincare live on the weekend. And then I also talk about several different things at the same time, you know?
Mhm.
And so, but I always plan beforehand what I'm going to talk about. Like it's not just like
Yeah,
pulling it,
not winging it. Yeah.
but it looks like it is. I already have all my links set up. We also use something called mini chat if you're ever to the point to where I don't know if you guys use that at all as well. But you know, like that way I can send out direct links of every single product that I talked about to anyone who hopped on my live, said anything. And so that sends them out, but also putting all of the direct links like in the description of the video. The simpler I can make it for my customer that they only have to click right here and they can get what they need. All the things are like spelled out for them. I feel like I have the best results, and then knowing ahead of time like, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about first, this is how I'm going to transition. And if you're struggling with live videos, I used to put post-it notes everywhere, even if things like what could I talk about if I felt like it got
Yeah.
weird. And
Yeah.
so daughter had a soccer game this weekend, what did they do this weekend, what are they having for dinner? I mean, I had like post-it notes all over of just key topics so that if I did only have 10 people on my live and it felt like crickets, I was like, what
Hmm.
can I keep talking about? Now I don't have to do that. I guess I'm complete professional at talking to myself for an hour. Um, and normally get enough interaction that I can like pull a comment and start talking about like, oh, are you going to have more kids? I can like go into that conversation or something. But that's great for someone who's nervous. And then the biggest thing, I used to get hives all the time when I would go live. But I think the biggest difference was when I started looking at it as like, maybe today I could teach them something new. Like instead of worried, what are they going to think about me? What are they going to think I'm good at this? Am I an expert enough? Am I qualified enough? The reality is they don't have to watch me if they don't want to. So when I
Yeah.
took the pressure off myself of like, I'm not forcing the internet to watch me. And then I have like, maybe somebody's had a bad day. Maybe they're going through cancer treatments and they just need somebody to make them laugh. Like maybe they'll never buy a product from me, but like I talk a lot about faith. Like maybe I can help be a light into their life. Like I just, you know, like maybe I can just help impact someone and it has nothing to do with sales. And when I started like looking at going lives as today, I'm going to help other people have a good day. And then if the sales came back, yay. And if they didn't, then hopefully I helped someone like have a smile, laugh a little, feel good about themselves, feel confident in their own skin, like feel like they're not the only one going through the things that they're going through. And so when you start thinking like not about the judgment side, but what you have to give, it takes the pressure off of you that like, you know, it's not as much about like, okay, I'm going to go on and try and make 3 sales today. Like this is,
Mhm.
because then all you're talking about is the sales. So instead, if you are like, today, my goal is to make people feel good, then they're genuinely going to be interested in what you're talking about.
It's so true, and I think that's the big challenge for a lot of people is, they have that desperation, right? They have that commission breath, and when you have commission breath, and you come on too strong, too eager, and all you're doing is selling and pitching, this is why you struggle. And I think it's so important. And you said it, 80% of the time you're sharing your life, you're talking about your kids, you're sharing tips, you're talking about your faith, you're talking about your story, you're sharing things that are relatable. And sometimes we forget that's the most important thing, to build influence and get to the point where you need the many chat and you got the links and you can sell on demand and do 55 million in sales. First, you have to build that know, like, and trust, that influence, that credibility. And that comes through consistency. Like, you might see Courtney right now and go, oh my gosh, like, she's so inspiring and I could never talk like that. I would be so nervous. And it's like, yeah, she just told you she used to get hives. Like
Oh,
I used to get super nervous. Look, by the way, I still get nervous. Maybe not with live videos, but when I have to speak on stage, especially when it's like thousands of people, of course you get a little nervous. Like, check your pulse. Like, if you don't get nervous when you're doing something that you don't do that often, or you're doing something you've never done before, embrace the suck. You're going to suck at video. You're going to suck at first telling your story. But here's the beauty. And I bet Courtney would be able to attest for this too. Most of the people that follow me today, most of the people that know me today, that work with me today, they didn't know me when I first started doing videos. Like, most of the people that we've attracted were not the people that we attracted in 2013 when we first started doing videos. That was more our existing network of people. A lot of the people that follow us have been following us for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. So just know that the point of doing this branding thing, this content creation thing, it's not necessarily to talk to the people that already follow you, although that is important, but it's also building up a new network of people, which is only going to come through the consistent effort and getting really clear, which is what Courtney suggested in the beginning for those of you that got on late, is who are you talking to? And the easiest people for you to talk to, and I know this is crazy town, this is a crazy concept, but talk to people just like you. How old are you? Where are you from? What do you believe in? What do you like? What do you love? What do you despise? What are your challenges? Talk about pain points. And one thing that's really smart, and I know, Courtney, I've seen some of your videos, you do a great job of this. You're telling your story and you're rubbing salt in the wound, as I like to call it, right? You know the problems that you have had or are having, and the people that follow you have the same problems, right? Whether it's raising kids or dealing with whatever we're dealing with in life. And this is where it's all about that relatability. And you start to look at things differently when you're creating content. You're not trying to make a buck, you're trying to make an impact. So what else would you suggest for people that are maybe, they're doing the videos, they're doing the content, but they do want to be more consistent and have more clarity on the content that they want to create? What would be some more advice you could give them?
Probably like show up as if you're the best version of yourself. Like, if you
Mm,
said, okay, if I was going to be the best version of myself today, what would I eat? What would I drink? How would I show up?
love that.
Would I show up like prepared? How would the best version of myself dress for this? How would, maybe you're not there yet, but you can choose, to be and show up. Like, I'm going to show up as the expert. Like, make a list of 10 things that you want your brand to be known for. Like, do you want to, and on that list, like, even when I was not, like, I could not even like do highlight and contour and whatever full eyeshadow look. Like, I started out in makeup and said, well, actually I started out in fitness and then moved to makeup. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But I've definitely been known for hair and makeup for a long time. And so, but I wanted to be known as an expert, that like, if you were going to an event, you would come to my page to watch how to do something. And I was not good at it. And so I would show up and I was going to teach them tips for
Mm,
how they could do this. And like, okay, here's a simple thing I learned. People love to learn simple things. This one trick, you can use this one product 2 different ways. They love things like that. And so you don't have to overcomplicate it, but like showing up as the best version of yourself, maybe not who you are, maybe not the fact that you can't pay your bills yet or that you're not, but you know that doing this industry can get you from here to here. So I'm going to show up and I'll share the stories of other successful people until I'm successful. Like, I will not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can like duplicate what other successful people have done. And, but if you're nervous, you're shy, you're timid, you're insecure, like that is not who you want to show up as. Even
mm.
almost have to like turn it on that, like, even if today's been a bad day, like I'm showing up as who people want to follow. And so, because even as you have a big following, like you're going to have days where you like don't feel like it. And if I only went live when I felt like going live, I would rarely go live. But you go live and you do the things. It's not because it's an emotional decision. Like, I show up because it's my job. Like, I show up because I didn't have the opportunity to go to college, like I could now, but I don't want to now. So,
Yeah.
but if
Same.
I will. But I want my kids, if they would like to, or if they want to pursue being an artist, I want them to have options. I started working at 14. Like, I didn't have options. And so
Mhm.
I want my kids to have options. So I show up trying to be the best version of myself. And if I notice things where I'm like, hey, I need to work on this so that I can grow, or maybe I have to do something that's uncomfortable, but I feel like this will be good for my brand. And this is going to push me a little bit. Like, you just get sweaty, pat your upper lip and do
Yeah.
it.
It's so true though, right? People show up to their job from 9 to 5. They don't
Yeah.
just show up for an hour. Like, we do a video for an hour, 30 minutes, whatever, and it's like it's done for the day. Meanwhile, people are like, I don't really feel like doing videos. I'm not good at videos. It's like, yeah, you show up to your job every day that you hate. You show up to work every day to build someone else's company, not for an hour or two, but for an entire day, an 8-hour day, and you do it again the next day. So yeah, it's so true. You do the thing, and it's funny, you do the thing you don't feel like doing, but eventually, like, once you go live, even if you don't feel like it, once you start doing it, it's that law of inertia, right? A body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. You don't feel like working out, go work out for 10 minutes. All of a sudden, you're working out for an hour. You don't feel like doing a live video, you're like, I'll just do a 5-minute video. 55 minutes later, you're like, damn, I can talk. But I think it really does boil down to creating those habits and disciplines and remembering why you got started. And I'd be curious too, because obviously you've probably sold more of the lean body system with our company. You've sold more product than just about anybody in the last 3-4 months. And obviously you got great results, but did you start sharing the product right away when you started using it, or did you wait until a month or two in once you had results? Because you're talking about like taking people on the journey with you and kind of sharing what you're learning. What did that look like for you? Curious.
I did Modere, but do you talk about the brands that you use?
Oh, it's okay. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
sorry. Slipped out. Okay, so I did that when I was getting married. So I got
Mhm.
married about 2 years ago. And so I did that whole little system, and I wasn't selling it. I personally just bought it from a
Just
friend,
using it. Yeah.
but I was using it. Again, that's another, I guess, a trust thing. Like, I'm not going to just hop on and sell it until I try it and see if it works, because
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, you only get one reputation, you only get one time of whatever. So I had really good results with that. I lost about 20 pounds and I was eating crazy strict, but it did help me. Like, I had been in a plateau. And so I lost, about 20 pounds in a month. And so I had that kind of as a story
Yeah.
already. And then we got pregnant a couple months after we got married, and I gained 100 pounds. I got up to 275. And so obviously I was on a lot of medicines and different things that caused that, but regardless, I definitely gained weight. And so after I had her, I mentioned, like, these are the things I'm going to take while I'm nursing. My doctor said these are fine, you talk to your doctor. And then when I quit nursing, I shared, like, these are the things that I'm adding in. So before I actually started losing weight, I just told my story of how I've used this before, and I've used Modere several times, even other times before that, and it was genuinely like, hey, I've liked the way the products work, I decided to start selling it. And so then, as I've lost weight. I probably should have done, I knew what I was doing. I could have documented it way better, but I also had, like, baby in the NICU, and especially
Right.
going to, like, treatments and all these things. So
Yeah.
I mean, in your own way. So, but I did consistently show up doing stories, and then, like, documenting, like, non-scale victories and weight, like, actual scale victories, like when I could wrap a towel around my body for
Smart.
the time,
Smart.
they're relatable things that, like, I can't remember the last time I could do this. Like, I was able to, like, here are the pants I was wearing. Look how small they are now. And so showing those, like,
Yeah, that's smart. It's like a visual. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's kind of how and those are I should probably focus on other products, but that's really what I focus on. Like with Modere, that's what I sell the most of. And that's what I have focused on, is that lean body system. And so, and then there's, like, other vitamins I'll take, and I'll mention, hey, I went to, like, an all natural doctor, and this is what they recommended. I got it from wherever, like, or I found something on Amazon, or, like, I'm not just like an infomercial for one brand, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
I genuinely am just saying, this is what I'm doing. this is what I found works for me. Hey, I actually have been doing this and I think I'm not using all of it. Like, I don't know if I actually love this form. I think I'm switching to this flavor. Let's try it and see if I
Yeah.
like it. Like, I don't know, just being relatable.
Yeah. Well, you're keeping it real again, like we said in the beginning. That's the most important thing. You don't only have to promote things that you make money on. I know that's a crazy concept, but it's, like we have two Teslas, right? I can tell people that I drive Tesla, I love Tesla, but I don't have to be like, but here's my referral link. Although I do think they do some type of referral program. I don't even know, but does that make sense? For those of you watching, is this like resonating? Do you understand how important it is just to share things that you're doing, you're learning, take people on the journey with you, keep it real, and don't always just promote the thing you're selling and making money on. In fact, one of Nadia's most viral videos that got us a couple dozen customers last month, she was sharing her skincare regimen. And essentially, she was talking about some of the products she uses that we don't make money on, and then some of our products. And the reason it did so well, because it was a good video. Nadia always does a great job with these types of videos, but it's because she's not just promoting the things she makes money on. And that builds trust. That builds, that credibility when you do sell something, when you do promote something, people are like, I trust you, I get lots of value from you. So when you promote something, I believe in it. And then just to wrap this up, I just want to ask, what would be maybe three of the biggest struggles that you had, challenges that you had that you overcame? Because I always think that's so inspiring to share. Obviously we talk about the victories, but also what were the maybe three biggest hurdles? And obviously I'm putting you on the spot here, but over the last several
Like,
years
all
that
right.
have like, yeah, exactly. But have really like maybe like kind of hindered you or made it more challenging to do what you do, because I think that always helps people realize that, guess what, we're all human and we all have problems.
Yeah.
We're not superhuman.
Yeah. So the biggest struggles I think for me is in my head. Like, and that probably all of them are going to go with that. So struggling to stay consistent when I didn't feel like the most confident in my own skin. Like, even though I'm successful to an extent, or well, just, like I am qualified, I guess at this point, it's not really the same nerves as when I was younger, newer.
Mm.
I was most nervous then because I didn't know what I was doing and I felt ridiculous. So let's start there. Feeling stupid, like feeling ridiculous, feeling like people are maybe making fun of you. Like, I got a lot of hate from people that are like, I can't believe you're doing that. Not to mention, I had tried several different companies for network marketing because I was a mom with kids. And so,
Right.
like, well, that one didn't work. And I mean, I had done like a lot of them, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll try this. Well, then finally, when I found something I could do online and not have to be away from my kids, and then
Right.
it really did fit something I was passionate about, I was like, I ended up being good at it. But I think the biggest struggle would be like not letting those nerves and those people, especially people who, like, if they aren't where you want to be in life, then they don't
Yeah.
get to how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm taking advice from you because you live paycheck to paycheck, and other people that I know that don't live paycheck to paycheck and that have a paid off house, like, not just like bought a house, but they paid their home. These are the things they're doing. So if I want my life to change, then I'm taking advice from people who are like, have changed their lives, and not necessarily from somebody I went to seventh grade with who's like, can't believe it. So, like, I would never do that. And then
Yeah.
5 years, they're like, so this thing you've been doing, like, it looks
Yeah.
like it's been pretty good. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Like, you'll be shocked at people that were like naysayers to you and said it was never would work, when it works for you, that they come back around and they're like, hey, like, can we talk about this? Like, what are you doing?
And
And then,
it's funny too, Courtney. Have you ever had that conversation with
yeah,
someone and they don't even remember being a hater? I've had people where I was like, you said something to me when I first got started 20 years ago and it pissed me off and it actually helped motivate me. I didn't
yeah,
have a why that made me cry, but there were people that pissed me off where I'm like, I got to prove it. I can't let them be right. And then I would say something to them about it years later. They're like, oh, really? I don't remember saying that. I'm like, so the thing that really like bothered me or I felt offended by, in a good way, I guess, but it's still, I was like, yo, that was, you ignorant at, right? They don't even remember saying it. They don't even remember making the comment. So it's funny how that works. But yeah, that person that is teasing you or whatever, years later, they're buying a product or joining your team. It's so funny how that works. So great point.
I think you're like vulnerable. So when you're vulnerable, you're putting yourself out there, or like, I can remember showing my sister my first like mascara video or something, and I was like going to post it, and I was so nervous, and I'm like, this is what I did, and she's like,
Yeah.
yeah. say so many times. And so it like totally shot me down, you know? And so not letting those, like, honestly, like, don't ask for the critique. Like,
Yeah.
it's bad for your heart. But we're vulnerable. And so then we're sensitive
Yep.
and we, are looking for someone to like, oh, what are they going to pick hard on us? And, uh, but if you continue, you get better the more you do something. You get
Mm.
more confident, you project better, you all of the things. Like if you look at somebody the very first time they do it, there's a good chance, unless they're 8 years old with the confidence of like Taylor Swift, then they are, you build up a little bit of like insecurities as you get older. And then I think that's the other biggest struggle is like I did have a lot of weight gain and I didn't like recognize myself. Like,
Mm.
and I also felt like, I'm somebody who's like sold weight loss stuff, and here I am, I've gained 100 pounds. And then like just not feeling, I've always promoted body positivity, but it's like, I don't feel good in my own skin. Still having to show up. Like I started back to work when Veda was 3 weeks old. And so, and I still had to do makeup and hair tutorials and still had to show up like in the biggest version of myself I've ever had to show up as. And so, and then having people like talk to you about it, like, oh, wow, like, or they didn't know you had a baby and they're like, you gained a lot of weight, and you're like, yeah, I have. And so, but with that, had I never shown up as that version and didn't talk about what I was going through, I wouldn't be able to relate and help them with the other parts. Like the other people are having big struggles too. So like the
Yeah.
thing that what's holding you back is the very key to unlock you. Like if I just looked like a bombshell like fitness model, I don't know if I would have attracted the same people that I have. And I don't know if they would have felt like they could trust me because they probably would be like, oh, she doesn't get it because of this, And so whereas you take like your weaknesses and the things that you struggle with, and you'll notice a lot of other people have those same issues. And if you can, like, as you're going through it, help them go through it, I can't tell you how many times people are like, if I live closer, we would be best friends, like, and that's what you want with your audience is that they
Yes.
feel like I hop on my lunch breaks to hang out with you because it feels like I'm FaceTiming a best friend, no matter what you're talking about. They just want to know what's going on, what you did, interact with them kind of thing. And so social media is so cool that you can like reach so many people. So I guess that's only two. Do you need a
No,
third?
it's so good though, and it's so true because I always tell people, a second grader looks up to a third or fourth grader. They
Yeah.
don't look up to like a college graduate. That's too far ahead of them. Like it's a big reason people don't always necessarily relate to my story or Nadia's story because we've been doing this 20 years. But if I bring someone on my show, sometimes they'll relate to that person more, especially if it's someone that's like a newer leader or they're just starting to create success. People are like, wow, so I hear John say these things, but when I hear someone else say it that's only been doing it for a year or 6 months, it actually makes it more real to them because they can see 6 months, they can see 12 months, they can't see 20 years from now. So I love that you pointed that out, and it really is why you take people on the journey with you and you keep it real and you talk about the things that you're dealing with, the struggles, because everybody deals with it. So yeah, any closing thoughts, any last tips before we wrap this up? I think this has been amazing, by the way. Thank you.
You're welcome. This has been so fun. My biggest thing would just be consistent, like showing up even, and then batching your content if you aren't already doing that. That's something I didn't learn to do until like years into my business was on a day that you look good, feel good. I don't even care if you're a hot mess. Like I show up as a hot mess all the time. But on a day you have enough time, you have it in you, batching content of like things that are relatable, even content of like fun stuff that you're doing. Don't always post everything you've done every single day. Like I have an album of stuff that is just for future use, like that
Mm.
I upload to it on my phone. And then on a day where I have doctor's appointments and I have busy stuff going on or kids that are involved, I'm on a field trip all day and I don't want to post about my kids' field trips, while I'm on their
Yeah.
field trip. Then I have stuff to pull from. So not only consistency, but I think that's where we fall into a rut for consistency is it's like, well, what was I supposed to post about today? Like, I don't want to
Mm.
share about your doctor's appointment, or maybe you don't want, like sometimes there's parts of your life you don't share about, like, custody battle, going to court. Like, that's not what I'm posting about today. Like, nobody's going to know. And so, um, having that type of content ready so that you do have, like, you know, things that are relatable, fun, sandwiches you've ate, coffee you've drank somewhere, you know, whatever, so that you don't just go MIA for 3 days, because then that also is weird because people are like, hey, are you okay? Like, you just dropped off the planet for 3 days, you know? And then if there is a sale that's going on, or a deal or a promotion or something you do need to promote, you don't just look like all you are is a spammy infomercial promoting these
Mhm.
deals because you need to make money. So you have to have, like, I don't know why it didn't occur to me. Maybe because it wasn't a thing back in the day, batching your content. But
Yeah.
I will try and get like a good amount of videos done, stories done. I change my shirt, I'll do another one. Change your shirt and earrings, do another one. Like, put on
Yeah.
a ball and sit on your couch with a different coffee mug. Like, no one has to know it was the same day. And then
Mhm.
you have stuff to help you so that you can have a monthly calendar of, like, Mother's Day's coming up. Like, I already filmed all that a long time ago, you know? And so you don't want to be working the day of. You want to be like a week or two ahead. And I think that that's something that maybe wasn't taught as much when I got started, is like, and then you're not always feeling like you're scurrying, like, what am I going to post about today?
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, it's crazy too, because once you do this for a few years, you realize, like, if the post I did last year or last month or last week, whatever, did really good, it'll do really good again in 6 months. It'll do really good in a
Yeah.
few years. So why not just continue to repurpose the same content, short form videos, now, obviously, live videos, you can't necessarily do that. Although you actually could pre-record a live video and make it so it seems live. There's some more advanced strategies you can do, but yeah, I mean, it's imperative that you keep track of what works best. You find ways to put content together that you can use over and over again, or b-roll, or repurposing, or batch create content. It just makes so much sense, especially for those of you that are busy and you got a lot going on. And like you said, you don't want 3, 4, 5 days to go by, a week to go by, and you haven't posted anything, because again, with the algorithm, with all the competition, like, I always think, like, the days I don't go live, the days I don't post, my competitors are posting, my
Yeah.
competitors are going live. And again, for me, that drives me more, because I want to outgive the competition. I want to out provide value. I want to show up more in a bigger way. And like you said in the beginning, it's doing it consistently, and really just keeping it real. If anything is your biggest takeaway from this conversation, and I'm sure we can all see, and make sure you guys follow Courtney just so you can see what she does. It's being authentic, right? Being you, and showing up as the best version of you. As we always say, show up you times two, right? Just be a little more energetic, a little more excitable, because you'll start to notice that will attract people. Because most people, let's keep it 100, they're bored. Most people are bored. Most people are sitting there, they're watching. If it makes you feel any better, they're probably watching your video or scrolling on social media while they're sitting on the toilet. Let's keep it real. So just have fun with it, loosen up a little bit. And as Nadia would say, take the stick out of your butt, have some fun. So, Courtney, I appreciate you so much. Super proud of you. Congratulations. You've been absolutely crushing it in all things. And it was amazing to just have you on the show. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.